There I am. Welcome, everyone. I am testing out a new structure through StreamYard because my normal way of doing things through Zoom wasn't cooperating this morning. And boy, does that just fit in to what things have been going on. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to It's Time to Excel, where we inspire and we ignite the possibilities that are around us in spite of the challenges that also seem to be around us. Have you found lately that things have just been so crazy? Our world has been upside down, and all of a sudden we realize it's the fourth quarter. We're in the fourth quarter of 2020. Not quite sure how that happened. And it really has just been crazy. And I'm guessing a lot of you are feeling just the same way. It is so hard to believe that the fourth quarter is here. It is around us and we have started it already. So my question is to you. Are you ready? Are you ready? I don't know that I'm ready. And I'm not sure that anyone, we may not be. But I want to encourage you on something. And I just want to take a few moments because I want to encourage you to excel. And we know that we have to surround ourselves with folks that can help us to excel because it often takes a village to get there. So taking a look at that and kind of coming to thinking about fourth quarter, I have found that I've been talking to a lot of clients lately. And those clients are coming up with the same thing. One, it's amazement that it's fourth quarter and tax time is not all that far away. And all of a sudden, like, oh boy. And they've realized that if we're not working with an accountability partner, now those clients that work with me and meet me every month, we've got it covered. But for those that work periodically or just all of a sudden, they've realized that one thing dropped to the bottom of their list. They got so busy. They got so busy over the last several months that the one thing they forgot about was their books. They forgot to work on their business because they were so busy and going crazy every which else, and they forgot to do that. And part of the problem was not only forgetting to do that, and part of the issue was they got so overwhelmed, they realized they didn't have the system in place that would help them to do those books in a more efficient manner. It doesn't have to be complicated, but when you don't have a system in place, all of a sudden, what ended up happening, and we're just going to call it this, it ended up being COVID QuickBooks. Oh my goodness, COVID QuickBooks hit right along with that. And what is that? That is simply just the syndrome that you got so entirely too busy that you forgot to deal with your QuickBooks. You forgot to deal with your books in any fashion. And you realized that the system you thought you had in place maybe wasn't as strong as what you thought it was. That is one thing that over the last few months that we have realized is that if our systems aren't in place, things can fall apart really, really quickly. And I don't want that to be you, especially when it comes to your finances, especially. And I want to encourage you, and I'm going to give you a couple of tips today for you to put into place, starting, if not getting back on track, but at least start in the fourth quarter. Get your system back in place and get it to a point where it's not going to drive you crazy and you're not going to be pulling your hair out come January because you're going to end up spending hours upon hours upon hours trying to figure out what happened to 2020. Let's put a system in place together and get that going forward. So here's what I'm going to encourage you to do. I know it's busy. I know it's crazy, but I want you to do this. Take this first step with me. I want you to take a look at your calendar and I want you to find a time. Let's start with just 1 hour. Let's just start with one little hour. That's all, just 1 hour. I want you to start with that 1 hour, and I want you to block it off on your calendar. And then I want you to highlight it on your calendar. And then I want you to commit and to decide right here, right now, that this time, let's just pick Friday at 3. I don't care when it is. It could be Sunday at 2. It could be Wednesday at 5. Whatever works for you. And if not, you look and you make time. Because the one thing that I have learned and I want to encourage you guys to do is to schedule some time for yourself, for you to work on your business. And you have to. If you want your business to succeed, if you want your business to grow and to thrive, you've got to get a handle on these books. You have to. You have to get it on the books. It's not an option. when you treat it as though it's just another appointment, which it is, it's an appointment with your business, then and only then will you set aside the time to take a few minutes. If you're using a software, fabulous. If you're using Microsoft Excel, fabulous. If you're using QuickBooks, wonderful. There's a boatload of them out there. Take the time during this hour to make sure that your transactions for that week, that month, wherever we're at, and once we get this on a regular cycle, it's only going to be a week, which means you can only probably book yourself an hour. You may only need 15 minutes that week. Look at that. You may have 45 minutes to take care of something else. But you do not do that until you complete the work on your books. And I can guarantee you, you're going to need a minimum of an hour a week, minimum, to be able, but let's start somewhere. Let's start somewhere. And we can start with an hour a week. Start working those transactions in. Start coding them things, making sure you have your receipts, putting them into a system. You guys know that I use QuickBooks. I'm a QuickBooks Pro Advisor. That tool, that software has been very valuable to me because I can take a look and I have it connected to my bank. So I can just go and categorize based upon my receipts at the end of the week. I may only have a handful. And what is nice is I have that time booked. So I just take a few minutes. I get that done. Once I get that done and I've tracked it, keyword, keep that in your mind. Keyword, you're tracking it. You can't have any idea where your business is going unless you track it. And you can't do that unless you actually have a system in place to do that. And part of that system includes taking the time aside to make sure you're taking care of it. And I want to encourage you to do that today. And I want you to excel because we need to build a financial foundation that is going to be solid. And Gizzy agrees with me. You heard him. He's jumping up into it as well. It's always entertaining doing these at the house because you never know who's going to show up or who's going to speak up very often in this case. But it is very, very important. You need to track it. You need to do this so that you can set yourself up to make sure you're not going crazy come year end. You're not trying to pull your hair out because you've realized you've got an entire 12 months to come up with. It is so much easier to do it little by little. And I'm sure you guys have heard it before. How do you eat an elephant? How do you eat an elephant? You eat an elephant one bite at a time. And that's what you can do. You can actually eat that elephant one bite at a time. You can have your business, and even if numbers aren't your favorite thing in the world, it's okay. There are tools and support available. Invest in them. They are vital to your success. Invest in the tools and the support, but make sure you know what your business is doing because part of that time frame, that hour that I've been, encouraging you to do, you also want to make sure that you get your transactions taken care of, but you need to be looking at what's going on. You need to be taking what happened last month, what happened so far this month. Once you get this stuff tracked and you're spending the time with it a little bit, you can actually start to see trends. And trends let us know what's going on. So you're going to, 9 times out of 10, your business may be very cyclical. And right now, that cycle may be thrown off completely, mainly because COVID hit. Our world was turned upside down. We're in quarantine. We're not in quarantine. We're coming back. The chaos continues. But that's the part of the life of a business owner. That's the part of life that we're dealing with. And we get to balance it all. And we can do that if we take little bites at a time. And that's what I want to encourage you today. I want you to take a little bite at a time so that you can excel because there is ways to inspire and ignite the possibilities if you're willing and you're ready to commit. And that's what I want to encourage you to do. So the first tip that I want you to remember is I want you to schedule yourself some time. Block it. Take that 1 hour. Just 1 hour at this point in the game every single week at a minimum. And start getting yourself, get that transactions tracked. Get them ready to go so that at least you know the direction your business is going. I so often like to say, okay, you might have set goals. That's fabulous. Are you hitting those goals? You don't know unless you have tracked to figure that out. Whether we like it or not, a tracked number is the only way that we're going to be able to do that. And yes, there are multiple ways. My goodness, even a pen and paper will work for starters. As you're growing your business, you need to have some kind of a software tool in place that's going to help you to track and streamline the processes. And you guys know that is just what I love doing. I like to take a system and I like to figure out how can we streamline it and make this work, because life is busy. Life is crazy. And you are trying to fit in family, kids, pets, spouses, friends, work. Yeah, don't forget about that one. That's just part of it. And that is what we've got to figure out. So we've got to streamline many of those systems so that we're not driving ourselves crazy. And one of those areas that we can do, and more that I love to encourage you to do, is get a system in place to track your numbers. A system that is simple. Yes, it's a little bit of work, but I guarantee you the work is so worth it at the end. Because the last thing we want is for you to come at the end of the year and be ready to pull your hair out, and because you're going to spend hours upon hours upon hours, because whether you like it or not, we're going to have to get taxes done. And I don't want that to be challenging. I want you to be like many of my clients who we wrap up at the beginning of the year, we push a couple of buttons, and those reports are sent over to the accountant. Any kind of adjustments, any kind of little odds and ends that we got to correct, and they're done. It's not crazy. It's not chaos, because we did one thing throughout the year. We made the time, we tracked the numbers, and we decided that it was worth it for us to make sure that we had this in place. And that's what I want to encourage you to do, because I want you to excel. And the only way that you can excel is to get these in place. And you guys know this, and I know, and I would love to support you on that. And in addition to that, I would love to encourage you. Microsoft Excel is one of the areas that I love to do some training on. And my Lunch and Learn next week is all about untangling some of those formulas. And I want to encourage you to join me. You can find the link out on my website to register. I encourage you to do that. It's, of course, excelwithme123.com. It's right behind me there. I want to encourage you to join me as we untangle some Microsoft Excel formulas, because I know sometimes that gets a little bit crazy. And if nothing else, a lot of times those formulas will help you streamline your system. It's just one way. And of course, I love to network and get a chance to kind of talk with folks and catch up with folks. And we do some networking on either side, and we do a little bit of training in the middle. And it's all about you guys, and you guys are helping me. And some of those questions that are coming up, sometimes we use some of the QuickBooks and we put some things into Excel, and because we want to look at them a little differently. It depends on what tools you have. And what I found so often is so many people have the tools in front of them. They have them, but they're not using them to their fullest potential. And that's what I'm on a mission for fourth quarter, is I want you to use the tools and the systems in a streamlined, first and foremost, streamlined way that will actually help make things easier to build your financial foundation on a solid rock, not on sand, on solid rock, because that's the way that it's going to be able to grow. That's the way you're going to be able to thrive. That's the way to keep the stress at bay, because there's enough stress out there. We don't want to make this one of them. We want this to not be as stressful. We want to make sure that it's simple. I didn't say easy. I said simple. And one thing I've been reminded for over the last several months, I've been actually writing my book, and it is launching here October 22nd. So I encourage you to join in on some of the fun. We're going to have a little bit of entertainment with that. And I was reminded of one simple thing during that journey. How do you get to the finish line? You simply take one step at a time. And I have to admit, over the last several months, a lot of those steps were backward, they were forward. I was tumbling, I was doing turns, I was doing circles. I had no idea which way was up or down, but I kept stepping one step at a time. And it's amazing how through that faith and just continuing to move one step at a time, the path, even though I'm sure there was a much shorter way to get there, I can look back now and know some things to do differently. However, the one thing that was reminded to me is one step at a time. I was able to get there. And that's what I want to encourage you to do. So take the one step at a time. Get your systems in place because fourth quarter is here. Fourth quarter is here. So get your systems in place. Start by scheduling yourself some time. Make time to work on your business and start to track your income and your expenses so that you can get a game plan to move forward with and you can get a game plan to know which way you're going. We want you to be throwing those darts to the dartboard that's ahead of you, and we want to make sure that you're not throwing the darts and the dartboard's behind you. So thank you so much, everyone, for taking a few moments to join me today. And I want to encourage you because it is time to excel. It is time for you to excel, inspire, and ignite the possibilities that are around you. See what options are available, and please, by all means, take that first step to make sure that you have a solid financial foundation in place so that you can come out of 2020 on a high note and roll right into 2021, moving forward in the direction that you want your business to go. Take care, everyone.